Could you raise your hand if your parents or any other close family members have ever been openly disappointed with a grade? Or if you don't get grades yet, any other teacher feedback that you have ever gotten? Thank you. That moment, that feeling is probably familiar to many of us. Sometimes it's a conversation. Sometimes a disappointed look. And sometimes it's just silence that says more than words ever could. Sometimes, even when we try our absolute best, the reaction we get from the people closest to us doesn't always match the effort we put in. And for a lot of young people, like all of us, this can become one of the most common experiences in school and at home. The feeling that what we do is never quiet enough. I've felt it too. I know that this is not a major tragedy, but I remember how last year in grade 7, everything, projects, summative assignments, all landed on the same week. I was working every evening trying to finish everything well and on time, but there was obviously no way to give my absolute best on every single assignment. And when everything was finally over and the grades came in, one of the first things I heard at home was, "Only 5 in Spanish, you could do better." After all this stress and rushing, that one comment made it clear that pressure didn't disappear just because the work was finished. And expectations won't lower just because my parents can't fully see how different my world is from theirs. But this pressure isn't only about grades. Some of us don't even receive grades yet, but we still feel expectations about behavior, performance, achievements, or comparison to siblings, relatives, or even our parents' past experiences. The form changes, the feeling doesn't. Across different ages, different families, and different subjects, the message is often similar. Do more, do better, aim higher. And many of us hear this long before we understand what it actually means. One of the reasons why this pressure might feel so heavy is because the standards we are expected to meet rarely come from our own understanding of what's possible for us. They come from the adults who grew up in completely different circumstances, completely different school systems, and same exact expectations. Yet, the world that they learned in is not the world that we are learning in right now. Teaching methods change, grading systems change, curriculums change, but expectations often don't. They get passed down without ever being questioned, and we are left trying to fit into them. What makes this even more difficult is that disappointment from others doesn't only affect us in the moment. It builds, it shapes how we think, how we work, and even how we see ourselves. When we're constantly told to aim for perfection, we might start believing that anything less than perfect is a failure. And that's where the real problem begins. Not with the grade, but with the mindset. Pressure doesn't help. It doesn't push us to grow. It pushes us to avoid mistakes. Makes us cautious, quieter, more afraid to take risks. Instead of trying something new, we stick to what feels safe. Instead of asking for help, we hide the confusion. And slowly, improvement stops being about becoming better and starts being about avoiding disappointment. At the same time, comparison becomes unavoidable. Many parents compare our results to their own from when they were in school. But they often forget that we are not them. Their schools were not like ours. Their teachers were not like ours. Because our teachers don't beat us with wooden rulers. Their lives were not like ours. Yet we are measured against experiences that no longer exist. And when we cannot meet those outdated standards, we may start believing that the problem is us. But it isn't. The purpose of this talk is not to blame our parents. It's to point out that unreasonable and excessive pressure, when it is constant and unrealistic, doesn't create motivated students. It creates anxious ones, and the effect is universal. It doesn't matter if you're grade 5 or grade 10. The feeling of expectations we can't fully meet is something many of us share. So, what can actually help? The answer is not rebellion. The answer is not pretending we don't care. The answer is communication. Not dramatic, not emotional, but honest. When we talk openly about what challenges us, what overwhelms us, and what goals are reasonable for us, we stop trying to live up to someone else's childhood and start building our own path. For younger students, it might mean explaining what kind of feedback helps you improve, and what kind of feedback only confuses you. For older students, it might mean explaining the difference between working hard and burning out. For parents, it might mean understanding that learning today is different from learning over 20 years ago. If I want to leave everyone in this room with one idea, it would be this: expectations don't have to disappear. They just need to make more sense. They need to be flexible, realistic, and based on who we are right now, not on who someone else used to be. When we replace pressure with communication, comparison with support, and fear of disappointment with space to grow, we create an environment where all of us, every grade, every level, can actually learn, improve, and move forward without carrying a weight that was never ours to hold. Talk with your parents. Tell them how you feel. Hear what they have to say. Share your visions and your goals of your own future. And create compromises. Because this is not only about lowering standards, it's about making them human, making them achievable to us, students. Meaningful change begins only when we choose to take the first step, rather than expecting others to understand our situation and act in our place.